Assalamualaikum and hi everyone, welcome back to the video. So in this video we're going to look into how we're going to use our elementary row operation for us to find the inverse of matrix. Let's say here we have our matrix A. We want to find the inverse of our A. First step, what you need to do is you need to write back your matrix. The first step that you need to do is you write matrix A in augmented form. So how to do it? So our matrix in augmented form means that this will be, so we write down our augmented matrix. So this one 1 negative 1 2 0 2 3 3 negative 2 negative 1, and then we have our identity matrix 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. Second step, you can look into your module. There are characteristics that you can use to change your identity matrix to be to the left hand side, and then what you have in your right hand side here will be the inverse matrix. So there are some tips for you in order for you to get it easier to change everything on the left hand side to be identity matrix. There are a few tips that we can follow. First, we change our A1 1, then we go down to A2 1, then we change our A3 1. Next, what you need to do, you change this one A2 2, then you change this one. Next, you change this one, A3, 3. After that, you can change everything else to be 0. So, what we can do is, the first one, we change this one. This one is second one, third one, 4, 5th, 6, and then the remaining 3 here. Let's start with our ERO. So we look into the first element here. Since this is already 1, so we didn't need to change anything. We look into second row, first column, we have negative 1. We need to change it to be 0. How we can do it? We can do addition between rows. We want to change the second row here, right? So we can write back what we have in our first row and third row. 1 0 3, and then we have 1 0 0. Third row we have 2 3 negative 1 0 0 1. So we want to change our row 2 to be 0. This element negative 1 to be 0. In order for us to have 0, negative 1 plus with row 1 with the value of 1 here will be 0. So I write down here row 2 plus row 1. Negative 1 plus 1 will be equal to 0. Then 2 plus 0 we're going to have 2. Next we have negative 2 plus 3 will be equal to 1. After that we have 0 plus 1, so we have here 1. Then 1 plus 0, so this one will be 1. The last one we have 0 plus 0, so this one will be 0. Next we're going to look into the third row, the value 2 here. We want it to be 0, so it must be minus 2. It cannot directly minus with 2. We need to have the operation between rows. So what we can do here is we're going to have row 3 minus 2 row 1. Since we want to change row 3, we're going to write back everything that we have in row 1 and row 2. Row 3 minus 2 row 1. 2 minus 2 times 1 will be 0. Next, we have 3 minus 2 times 0 will be 3. Then we have negative 1 minus 2 times 3, we have negative 7. Next, 0 minus 2 times 1 will be negative 2. After that, 0 minus with 2 times 0 is equal to 0. Last one, 1 minus 2 times 0 is 1. Next, we want to change the value in our second row. We have 2 here. We want to change it to be 1. What we can do here, we can do a scalar multiplication with our row. So for example, here we're going to have 1 over 2 times with row 2. Since we want to change our row 2, we can rewrite back every element that we have in row 1 and row 3. So row 1 we have 1, 0, 3, and the right hand side we have 1, 0, 0. The third row we have 0, 3, negative 7, and negative 2, 0, 1. So here 1 over 2 R2, 1 over 2 times 0 will be equal to 0. Then we have 1 over 2 times with 2, we're going to get equal to 1. After that, we have 1 over 2 times R2, which is 1 over 2 times 1. We're going to have 1 over 2. Next, we have this one. So this one will be 1 over 2. And then same goes here, 1 over 2, and this one will be 0. Next, I want to change the value 3 here to be 0. How am I going to make it equal to 0? So this one I can have row 3 minus 3 row 2. Since we want to change the value in row 3, we can copy back everything that we have in row 1 and also 2. We look into our third row right now. Row 3 minus 3 row 2. So 0 minus 3 times 0 equal to 0. Then 3 minus 3 times 1 equal to 0. Next, negative 7 minus 3 times negative 2. We have negative 7 minus 3 times 1 over 2, which is equal to negative 17 over 2. So we write down negative 17 over 2. Next, we have negative 2 minus 3 times 1 over 2 here, which is equal to negative 7 over 2. So we write down negative 7 over 2. Next, we have 0 and 1 over 2. Means that 0 minus 3 times 1 over 2. This one will be equal to negative 3 over 2. So we write down negative 3 over 2. The last one, we have 1 and 0. So that one will be 1 minus 3 times with 0 is equal to 1. So we write down at the end here we have 1. Next, I want to change my row 3. Here I have negative 17 over 2. I want it to be equal to 1. What can I do? I can do my scalar multiplication with my row. So since we want to change again our third row, we can copy back what we have in first and second row. So we look into third row, we want to modify negative 17 over 2 to be equal to 1. What we can do here, we do our multiplication with a scalar. This one we're going to have negative 2 over 17 row 3. We have negative 2 over 17 times with 0, we're going to get 0. Next, negative 2 over 17 times 0, we have 0. After that, negative 2 over 17 times negative 17 over 2, we're going to have the value of 1. After that, negative 2 over 17 times negative 7 over 2, here we're going to have the value of 7 over 17. And then negative 2 over 17 times negative 3 over 2, we're going to have 3 over 17. And the last one, we have negative 2 over 17 times with 1, we're going to get negative 2 over 17. After that, I want to change the value in row 1, column 3. We have the value of 3 here. I want it to be 0. So what we can do here, we can have row 1 minus with 3 row 3. since I want to change my row 1, so I can write back everything I have in row 2 and row 3. So we copy back first. Now we calculate for our row 1. We want to have row 1 minus 3 row 3. So the first one we have 1 minus 3 times 0, which is equal to 1. Next, we have 0 and 0. So this one will be 0 minus 3 times 0, and we still get 0. The third one, we have 3 and 1. So this one we're going to have 3 minus 3 times 1, which is equal to 0. After that, we have 1 and 7 over 17. So this one will be 1 minus 3 times with 7 over 17. We have the value of negative 4 over 17. So we write down negative 4 over 17. Next, we have 0 and 3 over 7. This one will be 0 minus 3 times 3 over 17, which is equal to negative 9 over 17. Negative 9 over 17. After that, the last one, we have 0 and negative 2 over 17. Here we're going to have 0 minus 3 times negative 2 over 17. This one will be equal to 6 over 17. Okay, we look into our left hand side. We still didn't get our identity matrix, right? Because we still has the value of 1 over 2. Here it's supposed to be equal to 0. So I want to change this one to be equal to 0. The last step that I can do is I try to turn it to be 0, where I can have row 2 minus 1 over 2 row 3. So as you can see, I just want to change the value of 1 over 2. I didn't want any other value to change because it's going to repeat all over again. So make sure when you want to change your row, those value that you already changed to be 0 or 1, it remains 0 or 1. So here the changes will be for row 2. We're going to write back all the value that we have in row 1 and row 3. We look into our row 2. Row 2 minus 1 over 2 row 3. We have 0 and 0. So this one, 0 minus 1 over 2 times with 0, we get equal to 0. We write down 0. Next, we have 1 and 0. 1 minus 1 over 2 times with 0, we get equal to 1. So we put it back, 1. Next, we have 1 over 2 and 1. So this one, 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2 times row 3, which is 1, equal to 0. So I get 0 there. Next, we have 1 over 2 and 7 over 17. So this one, 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2 times 7 over 17. This one will be equal to 5 over 17. Write down 5 over 17. Next, we're going to have 1 over 2 and 3 over 17. This one will be 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2 times 3 over 17, and this will be equal to 7 over 17. Write down 7 over 17. The last one, we have 0 and negative 2 over 17. This one will be 0 minus 1 over 2 times negative 2 over 17, and it will have the value of 1 over 17. We write down our last value, which is 1 over 17. Okay, now as you can see on your left hand side here in your augmented matrix, we already have our identity matrix. So this one is identity matrix, and the right hand side will be your A inverse. So we write it back properly. Inverse matrix of A, so A inverse equal to all the values that we have on the right hand side. As you can see, all your denominator is 17, and we can simplify this to be equal to, we take out our scalar, we can simplify it to be 1 over 17 times with, inside here we have negative 4, negative 9, 6, 5, 7, 1, 7, 3, negative 2. So you can simplify to a scalar matrix if the denominator of your inverse matrix here is equal. So this is a final answer for our inverse of matrix A. So you can try to do the other question. Good luck!